gone and worked with people with disability, you've gone in the slums, you've done things, or you've sort of educated other people on what social justice means and things. So, or you're part of committees and groups and associations that are furthering law or anything else in this community work. I think that creates an edge for you when you go and apply for internships.
The evolution of mankind has been intertwined with conflicts, either with each other or against the community in general. Therefore, to preserve this social balance, laws were conceived as mutually agreed upon rules while the society would follow. Law have been deeply linked to the growth of civilization. The purpose of law in society is to preserve the moral sanctity that binds in society. Therefore, the legal profession is considered a noble profession as it is the upholder and protector of law. Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, we have with us very special guest today, Miss Molina Asthana, ma'am. She will be joining us today all the way from Australia. She is the first South Asian woman to be elected president-elect of a Law Institute of Victoria. She is also the national president of the Asian Australian Lawyer Association. She is an experienced commercial lawyer having practiced at top-tier Australian law firms and the Victorian Government Solicitor Office and in the Supreme Court of India. She also serves on various boards including AMES Australia, Graduate House and the University of Melbourne, Good Shepherd, ANG, Gymnastic Victoria, AFL South East Commission, Table Tennis Victoria and Australian Centre of Human Rights and Health. He is also the co-founder of Asian Australian Alliance and the founder of Organisation Multicultural Women in the Sports. She has received multiple awards for her work, including the Victorian Multicultural Awards for Excellence Prize. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, her profile has so many things, so many glories, which I won't be able to explain in next few minutes. But I'm pretty sure during this conversation, we are going to learn a lot from her. So first of all, ma'am, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and actually agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thanks for inviting me to speak.
Thank you, ma'am. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is skill building for international legal law career. In a difficult, confusing and complicated situation, individuals and companies may find themselves desperately seeking the guidance of a well-prepared and reliable legal profession. A great attorney has the potential to have a dramatic and positive impact on the life of a client, whether it's by helping them through a difficult family law matter, protecting them against false charges, or securing fair financial compensation after an accident. Attorneys advocate for people during some of the most challenging time in their life. Lawyers matter. Ma'am, my very first request to you is to please explain our viewers what makes a good lawyer and what are the skills required to make a successful legal career.
I think the skills required for a good lawyer is good analytical skills definitely help. Drafting skills. Presentation is very important because you may have great skills in having prepared the case, but if you don't present, if you don't learn the court craft of presenting your matter well in a court, that has an impact as well. But it also depends on where you're practicing. I suppose in the lower courts, there's a different culture. In the higher courts, it's very different. So you got to learn to adapt to that. And I think it's good to start from a place where you really want to practice eventually. So if your aim is to practice in the Supreme Court, don't start practicing in the district court because it's just going to be very different cultures and you will learn something that you don't want to follow later or will not be useful for you later. So it has to be what you really want to do. Commercial careers are very different. For commercial careers, you require a different kind of training and expertise. For that, it's mainly, I suppose, you have to have a sense of commerciality as well. For an organization, just legal skills are not enough because there'll be conflicting demands whether you're working in-house or whether you're working in corporate law in a big firm. The demands of the business are different from. You have to manage them because the business will always want an outcome. You may have a completely different legal view on it, but that's where you have to meet somewhere in between so they find a solution that is useful for all. Whereas in litigation, it is a little bit more clear, black and white. You know that sort of this is the outcome you need to reach. This is the legality of it. This is the only way they can get to there. Whereas commercial is not so clear. It can be different things. So I've practiced in all kinds of areas. I've learned different skills over time. I also tell commercial lawyers that if you want to do commercial law, it's still good to get your grounding in litigation in the beginning. So you learn the skills to analyze, and you also know that if you say, for example, in a commercial contract, you're drafting something, you know the outcome of it as well. You know what clauses will eventually be challenged in court. If you've done some litigation before, you know when it will go to court, what it's going to be like. So those are sort of things you need to kind of work on as you go, pick up a field, learn, I think, get experience in that and be skilled in a particular area, because nowadays is a day of being more, have expertise in particular areas as well. So in Australia, especially where I work, most like I specialize in commercial law. Somebody else may specialize in something else, family law, whatever, but it's a more specialized field. Even within commercial, corporate, there's banking and finance, there's mergers and acquisition, there's property, there's all kinds of different things that you can do. So you've got to choose a path as well. That's a skill in itself, sort of knowing what you want to do. Yeah,
exactly. No, I think you have actually put explained the whole process, and I'm sure the people, those who are watching this session, they must actually got a clear insight of this. And my next question to you is, one is interested in pursuing international law, but what kind of a career can one have? What are the different opportunities available today in the fast-paced changing world? Please discuss with our viewers in actually bit detail.
Yeah. So in terms of international law, I think the first thing people have to be aware of is that you cannot just get up and start practicing in another jurisdiction.
Yes.
You need to re-qualify in most other jurisdictions in the world, except perhaps, for example, Singapore has some kind of a reciprocal thing with India. So I have been told that lawyers can practice over there in some of the law firms, even if they're not admitted to practice over there. But it's not the case in Australia. It's not the case in UK. It's not the case in US. You have to sit some kind of exam or do some other subjects. For example, in Australia, you could do up to 11 subjects. You may have to do up to 11 subjects again, undergrad subjects again, and plus you may have to do 1 year of training. So so the path is not as easy to just do that. So the options are there that you can work. Obviously, come and work in a law firm in some other country. You can work for the big companies that are, big law firms that operate across the world. They have offices in different parts of the world, so you can work there. There's also the option of practicing in local law in another country. You can go and work in a small firm there in kind of areas that are of your interest. But again, as I said, that is more difficult because you need to have very localized knowledge, and sometimes language as well. You need to know the language to be able to practice in those areas. You can even work in corporates. That's probably the easier way, because you don't necessarily need a practicing certificate to be able to practice in a corporate. So, for example, you're working in a multinational in India, you could get a transfer somewhere overseas where you can work as well. So that's one option of another option of doing that. Some people have gone and actually become barristers in another country as well. So they've gone and then qualified to become a barrister, and then they practice as barristers and eventually take another path, maybe even judiciary if they can. So I guess these are some of the options. And research is another good option. You can work in a university in research area as well. Internationally, that's a good option. Or not-for-profits is another one. A lot of the not-for-profits operate now across the world. You can go and work for Red Cross, you can work for Oxfam, you can work for Save the Children, like big not-for-profits, but also smaller ones that are there if that's your passion.
Exactly. And no, I think you have covered this full. And my next question to you is, actually this COVID-19 pandemic challenge have been challenging for all the sectors, including the legal system. New law firms player must be prepared for a wide range of scenarios that might take place in the post-COVID era, or we can say new normal. Therefore, law students must be ready for a challenging and demanding times. So my question to you is, how student of law must adopt to meet the demands of a post-pandemic world? What are some recommendations you have?
I think it's just become a bit harder for everyone to practice. So during the COVID world, whether it's the law firm that's operating or whether it's an individual practitioner, having technical skills has become extremely relevant, because a lot of stuff is happening online. Even your court hearings are happening online, and you may not have support from legal secretaries and others. So you may have to do all the work at home by yourself, sometimes. You've got to be, I guess, you need to learn those skills to be able to even format your own documents and type your own documents and all of that, because it's difficult. Even though there's shortage of staff as well in different places, but there's also generally people incapacitated because they've got COVID, and you suddenly lose a whole heap of staff just because they're not in a working condition, then they're again in isolation for 7 days. So those kind of things you have to be prepared for nowadays in terms of practicing in a post-COVID world. Flexibility to be able to work from anywhere. Paper trails, try and avoid paper as much as you can now. Try and do whatever you can online, because I'm now not printing pretty much anything. I do everything online. I work on my documents online. I send it online and I get it back online. Australia has actually changed its rules for witnessing of documents as well. So now we can electronically witness documents for clients. So we can get them on Zoom. They can sign in front of us. Then they scan and send the document back. I sign and scan it back and send it to them. So that's evidence in the court of law. So the rules have also been changed in certain parts of the world to adapt to COVID. So I think we need to adapt to that. We need to learn what the changes are in legislation as well. A lot of changes in legislation have impacted our clients. So we need to be aware of that legislation so that we can help our clients as well during COVID or post-pandemic world. And also be ready to kind of, as I said before, adaptable. You have to be ready to move anywhere. Maybe an opportunity presents somewhere else, or maybe you lose an opportunity. So you need to be also mentally strong to be able to deal with those situations. A lot of people I know lost work and they had to deal with having no work for a long period of time. That's also a very big wellness and health and wellness problem for lawyers. We need to be stronger to be able to deal with those situations. So focus on yourself, on your health and mental well-being is important.
Right. And my next question, actually this question becomes obvious when we talk about legal career and about students of law profession. A great internship offer a head start to a law student's legal career. So what are some recommendations and what are some tips you would like to recommend to the law students they must take while choosing the right internship for them?
So internships are important because that sort of sometimes leads to the path of where you will end up. So if you want to, if you have a particular interest in an area, I think choose an internship over there. Don't go randomly choose something that you're never going to be working in. Maybe that's the only thing you can get at that point. Yes, I understand sometimes opportunities are few, so you can take that, but preferably choose something that you think is going to be a long-term career, because then you will get a good idea of what it actually means to be practicing in that area. And sometimes you learn by doing a few internships. Try and do internships while you're studying, even from your first year of law. Do summer, winter internships, whatever. Here we call them summer, winter internships, and you can, in India they might be different, elsewhere in the world they might be different. But try and do those internships if you can right from the beginning, because it gives you a little bit of practical aspect to the work as well. So choosing that is wisely. Also, when you go and apply for an internship, what they're looking for is not just necessarily your marks or whatever. They're also looking at what are you doing over and above that, because a lot of people may have good marks. What is it that distinguishes you from someone else? That may be work you've already undertaken. So if you have an interest in something, maybe you work for you go and volunteer at an NGO. Maybe you go and work with, you've gone and worked with people with disability. You've gone in the slums. You've done things, or you've sort of educated other people on what social justice means and things. So, or you're part of committees and groups and associations that are furthering law, or anything else in this community work. I think that creates an edge for you when you go and apply for internships. So that's a really important tip that I would say for students. Because if I'm looking for someone, I'll look at someone who's got that added experience, or has taken an initiative of their own over and above what they're meant to do.
Exactly. I think you have again defined. And this is really a very great answer from your side, ma'am. I must say the people, those who are watching this session, they are going to find this meaningful. And one question I have is that what we are seeing is another major aspect in digitization of the legal sector. Globally, higher education institutes have moved to classes online. Apart from this, there is the free-flowing information available on the internet. Students need to demonstrate that they can work with multiple softwares and flexibilities, so their digital expertise to contribute to existing technologies. As you have mentioned, that they need to have technical skills. And we are also seeing law universities are supporting young minds by providing them with simulation-based teaching, which helps them to understand legal procedures up close. So my question to you is, what are the some tips would you like to give to law students, how they can effectively use these resources to meet the growing demands, because there is an information overload everywhere?
Yeah. So I think the first thing we talk about everything is whether it's news or any other stuff that you get on social media is to verify the credibility of the source. So there will be a lot of information available, but if it's coming from, say, reputed universities, if they're journals from universities, they are publications of reputed organizations, you need to focus on those. Don't focus on something, you find just randomly on the internet, and you have no idea what its credibility is or what it's linked to or anything. So I think that credibility comes with a university. Usually university publications will be good and will be accurate. There's also a lot of standalone publications that are well known in the legal sector, and also it depends on in the legal also there's various other for commercial law for others. I think you should probably stick to those credible sources rather than try and find everything on the internet. I'm old school, so I like books. So I don't mind actually going into a library and searching for a good book for that. I know a lot of it is not available, but I think there's still a lot available at libraries. So go and actually physically find a good book and search through that. The fun of doing it is far more than looking at stuff online, and it's very credible. You've got all the referencing done properly. You learn through that process as well of finding the right material. Also, you can ask people, you can ask professors, you can ask your seniors on what you should be looking at. I know sometimes, like you're doing research, for example, you're working at a law firm and you're asked to do some research. Quickly, you have to go in and find some material on it. To seek some guidance from people who've got some experience on where it is. There's courses probably available on research as well that you can do, potentially at universities, and maybe there's separate courses that are available. I know that I've spoken for Jindal University once on their research at a panel on what are the skills that people should have in researching. So there's certain kind of skills that are required for researching as well. So you should potentially do a course like that or read up on what is the best way of doing research. So I think those kind of things will really help you in finding the right sources and being able to research well.
Indeed, ma'am. I'm glad that you discussed with actually these all things with us. And ma'am, my next question to you is, actually, I'm sure you must have encountered many people, those who are starting their legal career they are in early phase of this part. So in your opinion, what are some common mistakes law students usually do while starting his or her career?
I think so. I did touch upon this before as well, just picking up the wrong place to either work or a wrong area of law, because then they will be discouraged, they will be disheartened, and then they might lose an interest in law as well. So I think it's really important to follow your passion even when you're practicing, that do something that really interests you. So if you go and do something without having any connect to that, or a sense of wanting to do that, then I think that will be pretty useless to do, and it'll harm you. And also, as I said, mistakes can be, you sort of decide your friends, you just follow what everyone else is doing. Your friends are saying, okay, this is the best place to do this, or go there, and everyone's rushing to do that sort of thing. I think verify from your own sources and try and find out whether that's actually really useful. Don't do it just because your friends are rushing to go do that stuff. And I guess just I guess just the enthusiasm of wanting to do very quickly, you're sort of trying to do everything. Yes, I will do this in this time as well, and I will do this, and I'll quickly, and believing that you can progress very quickly in law. There's no such thing. I mean, maybe these days it's become a little bit quicker. In my time, they used to say you need 7 years gestation period to succeed in law, to start actually earning. Now that's not the case. You start earning from day one and you earn decent money, but you still can't achieve everything in law that quickly. It's not as corporatized as the rest of the world. So I think go in with the mindset that I'm going there to learn, and it's going to take a while before I become a good lawyer. I'm not going to become a good lawyer and you become a good lawyer with experience only. You can become a lawyer on day one. You can't become a good lawyer on day one. You will need that experience to do that. So just rushing in and thinking I'm going to take up all this and do all that is a bit of I think a mistake. Also, another mistake is running after corporate commercial work. Just that. Nowadays, everyone just wants to do the commercial corporate work, but the corporate commercial work is interesting, but it's repetitive, and you don't get any fame out of that. the lawyers who you know in the country, even in India, are the ones who are litigation lawyers. They appear in court every day. You know, new Soli Sarab, you know, all these big, Harish Salve and all the big lawyers. You know them because they appear in court. They don't work for a corporate law firm. They're not partners of law firm. I don't know how many of you would know partners of big law firms. Some people know, but not others. So even here in Australia, it's the litigating lawyers or someone who's been like, for me, I'm involved with the law, our law society, which is the Law Institute, so people know me. But you've got to do something. Just rushing into corporate law and working on a desk is not going to give you all that. See, and also the social justice. For me, that social justice aspect is very important. I want to help people. So I want to do that. And I feel that connect with that. People don't have lost that sense of that it was a noble profession. I think we should all sort of realize that this profession is a noble profession, and that's why we want to do it. And then hopefully you won't be making those mistakes.
It's really great. And I'm sure the part you have stressed upon that, I'm sure people, those are watching this session, they must have understood and got a very clear understanding of this. And ma'am, today I don't want to take too much of your time. So my last question of this session, or rather it's a kind of a request to you is, please, what will be one piece of advice would you like to give to the viewers, those who are watching this session?
Well, I'll say it's a great career. Legal careers are fantastic. There's a lot of options available after doing a legal career. It's not just one thing. You can do multiple things, and you can even use those skills in anything else you want to do in life. I've seen a lot of people become CEOs of company who are of legal background, politicians. So there's varied things that you can do. Follow your passion. That's my biggest advice. Just follow your passion. You will get to the right place. Even if you haven't come from the best university, you haven't got the best grades, if you have that passion, you will eventually get to where you want to be.
Right, ma'am. This is really a very great and valuable piece of advice from your side. And thank you so much for joining and giving your important time. It was a kind of a healthy conversation with you on the topic, and we look forward for more such opportunities in future. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. I hope everyone gains out of my insights.
Definitely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone.